It's amazing when you see people coming under communism, how they worship God, and then you see people in the West, how they worship the Lord. People don't understand the price that people pay. One of the pastors who's actually coming to the ministers' conference, he's Vietnamese, and he was arrested and thrown in prison for over 10 years, and now he's banned from his own country. He's been kicked out of his own country. He's coming now to the ministers' conference 2 weeks' time. So when you hear of the price that people pay for the cause of the gospel, and then here in America, everything's just Harry casual. We'll come to church if we want to, and if we don't want to, we won't. We'll lie home, fellowship at the First Church of St. Mattress with Apostle Pillow and Prophet Eiderdown and Evangelist hot water bottle if it's in the middle of winter. But how easy we have it here in America with the gospel. But what a powerful night. What a powerful night. And the fire of God fell. It was phenomenal. Just phenomenal. All right, so any more slides on Vietnam, or are we done? Okay, so now we go to Beijing, China. Now, the big gentleman on the front row, they call him 400. Well, he's actually an American. He's from Chicago. I'll tell you the quick story about him. He's also come to the ministers' conference, so you'll get to meet him. He was pastoring a church. His mother died of AIDS. His father was shot in a gang war in Chicago. So, he grew up without a mother and father. But anyway, he went to Bible school, and he was pastoring in Montreal at the time. But he's classic Pentecostal. And he, for whatever reason, went over to Beijing and just very open, started talking to people on the streets, couldn't find not one Christian in Beijing. And so this was over 10 years ago, and so that bothered him so much. What he did was he called his church in Montreal and told his elders, he said, give away everything I have, and I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back to Montreal. I'm not coming back to the church. I'm here. I'm staying in Beijing. So he goes and registers himself as an English teacher and gets hired to teach English. And the lady that hires him ends up becoming his wife. She's Chinese, and of course he's married, and he has 2 children. And it's because he starts a church there. And one thing led to another. One of the top comedians in the country that's on a nightly program that, China has 1.4 billion people. So it's on a nightly program, and up to 600 million Chinese watch this comedian. And the comedian called him and said, listen, I'd like to meet you. Can we have lunch together? He said, well, what's it about? He said, no, I'll just meet with me, and I want to talk to you about something. So he said, okay. So he goes to lunch, and the comedian said, I'd like you to come on my show. He said, for what? He said, well, you can be the John Candy of China. He said, I'm not a comedian, I'm a pastor. And so he was horrified at the thought that he was going to be a comedian, So he prayed about it. The Lord said, go. So he went on there. Now hundreds of millions of Chinese are watching him. And of course, when the secret police come to shut the service down, they're taking pictures with him so they can send to their mothers, because all the old ladies of China love him. Because as a big guy, they want to come touch his belly because of Buddha. They feel it's good luck. No, seriously, it's like the craziest thing out. I thought, why didn't I end up in China 15 years ago? You know what I mean? When you're skinny, nobody wants to touch your belly. You know what I mean? And so they call him, in Chinese, they call him 400. 400, because 400 pounds. And he did a program with his mother-in-law, and she was, shouting at him in Chinese, you're so fat, and they were cooking dumplings and whatever. And the Chinese think it's the most hysterical thing out. So now he does stand-up comedy, and he sings in Chinese. He's on programs, and he does like cabaret singing, and, I can pull some clips, but I won't show you this morning. But it's just amazing. So the Lord's using him in a profound way. And I told him, I said, because he's upset about, the church being upset. Bro, you have the whole license to do whatever you want to do in China. You don't even understand. I said, preachers can't even do what you do. Everywhere we went in Beijing, they were stopping to get his signature or a picture with him. Even at the Great Wall of China, they were stopping to be pictured with 400. You know, I could walk around Beijing and just go 400, 400, you know, and everybody knew exactly who he was. I mean, who needs to be known as a pastor when everybody thinks, you know what I mean? Hello. God's opened the door into some of the amazing things. So he had organized like a meal, because you're not allowed to have a meeting in China. Of course, last week was China's 70th year of celebration of the founding of the People's Republic of China. So they were clamping down on churches. And so he'd organized a restaurant meeting, and I said, bro, what are you trying to do? He said, well, I've invited these people and these people. I said, most of those are not even saved. I said, let me just meet with some business people and talk to them. So we canceled their first meeting, and I made the decision, and we met with 22 leaders in a restaurant eating Peking duck. So put that up, and that's him. That's 400 there. I mean, it's a Michelin-star restaurant, great duck. Which, you know, I didn't grow up eating duck, but... So I actually sat and spoke and preached around the table. Power of God hit the place. I laid hands on everything that moved, you know, before the night side. And these are key leaders that have flown in from different parts of China. So it was phenomenal. It wasn't what I wanted, but it's a whole lot more than what we had. And you have to adapt. Are you with me? You can't be stuck in a rut. A rut is a grave where the end's kicked out. And you can't have a set mindset. Got to walk the Great Wall of China, prophesy over the wall, over the nation of China. Okay, stop there. Don't put soul on. Let me just talk to you about China. So everybody's talking about China, the great threat and all that. And I just want to tell you, it's not what you think. First of all, you've got 1.4, 1.5 billion people unofficially. When we were flying across China and I was talking to the pilots, and I looked at the GPS line where we're supposed to be on, and I said to the pilot, how come we to the right of the line? He said, well, they keep us about 1.5 to 2 miles off of the line. I said, why? He said, because China does not trust its radar system. Need I say more? When we landed in Beijing, the biggest problem we had nothing to do with us being ministers. First of all, they can't Google you because Google's banned. They can't YouTube you because they banned that. So they can't see anything. Was the machines didn't work. None of the scanners worked. Yes, there's facial recognition cameras everywhere, but who's going to be monitoring them? How many people are you going to need to monitor 1.4 billion people? In Vietnam, with 4 million people, you can control the population. How in the world are you going to control the population of 1.4 billion people? It's impossible. It's impossible. Plus, the church is growing in certain provinces at such a rate where they estimate over 300 million believers, if not more. Plus, the church is expanding not only in the business realm, where there's millionaires and billionaires, Chinese, that have been raised up by the hand of God. There's no ways they can stop it. There's no ways in 100 million years that they can stop what God's doing. I don't care what anybody says.